Have you ever wondered why your girlfriend broke up with you? Did you try to find out by looking through her social media to see if she was with another guy, or maybe it was because of another guy? Because most breakups are usually initiated by women, usually around 70 to 75%. And to understand that, we need to understand why that happens. It's easy to miss when you don't know what you're looking for. And as men, we're so focused on finding out that one reason or that one main reason, we usually miss really what's really right in front of us. And so oftentimes you will hear your girlfriend say things like, well, I need to work on myself, or it's not you, it's me. Very cliche, right? I'm not ready to be in a relationship. I think I'll be holding you back. Or, another big one is I need to find myself. And while all these sound reasonable, there's always another reason why she is breaking up with you. She's just not going to tell you. But in today's live video, you will understand the real reasons on her reasons for this breakup. And if you're new here, my name is Mitchell. I'm a relationship coach and I'm here to help. And so for today, I'll be talking about what's really behind her breakup decision. So let's start off with, she's just not that into you anymore, for a first slide. And I want to start it off with a quote by Jocko Willink, which goes, "Leaders must take full responsibility for all outcomes, including failure." And the breakup is simple. She basically just lost interest in you and she no longer finds you attractive. And she probably told you this one exact reason, and you probably thought it was this one main reason. Such as, oh, you never keep your word, or you never spend time with me anymore, or you're always working, you're always doing another thing. Oh, usually is over exaggerated. And this leads men to think that that's the one reason. This is the main reason for this breakup to happen, and this one reason only. Hello. We'll see how's it going. So a lot of guys would think, so if I just change that one thing that she was complaining about, she wouldn't leave me anymore. Thank you, men. Appreciate it. Thank you. And when guys think that, oh, it's this one reason why she broke up with me, it's usually not this case. What's up, man? What's going on? And so this is why when women complain about their men spending too much time on their hobbies, or they never take out the trash, or, you go to too many concerts, he then acquiesces and spends less time with his hobby, or he spends less time going out to concerts, or he just don't go to concerts in general. And he continues and he starts taking out the trash, something like that. And yet she's still unhappy. And it leads a lot of guys to, kind of like scratch their head and be like, yo, what is going on? Why isn't she happy? I did everything that she wanted me to, yet she is still unhappy. And so, what's up, Sabrina? How's it going? And so the main reason is because you're no longer taking the lead in the relationship anymore. So she sees you as a pleaser, and that is the underlying message that most men miss. It's that he becomes this people pleaser. She knows you're not doing it because you want her to be happy. You're doing it because you don't want her to be upset. Those are two completely different things. One is coming from a place of strength, because, I'm doing this because I want her to be happy. So I'm doing it out of a nice gesture, versus I want to do this so that she don't get mad. She won't get upset. So I'm going to do this and acquiesce. And that is why, and that is how she feels your weakness, is when you acquiesce and become this people pleaser. So I hope you guys understand that difference. And so to explain what pleasers aren't leaders. Pleasers act from a place of weakness, because it's coming from a place where they would do stuff they normally wouldn't want to, or exhaust themselves trying to do it in order to please someone without thinking about how they feel, or how, without them caring about how they feel about everything, and neither are they thinking about it. So they're not even thinking about the consequences on themselves, usually putting others' needs ahead of their own. And so she doesn't see you as a strong masculine man, and that is very unattractive. And so let's talk about what influenced her breakup. What influenced her breakup is that her feelings are gone. And when her feelings are gone, you're constantly going to think, well, how do I get it back? How do I get her to like me again? And I want to start out by telling you guys that in itself is already the wrong mindset. That is not the right mindset to have. But for the sake of this conversation, let's just say that she lost her feelings, okay? And so we're going to try to understand why, right? And usually the why is because you were more than likely, you were displaying more unattractive behaviors consistently over time that caused her to be more turned off by you. That's really what it is. Especially, and how do you know that? Well, in the beginning of the relationship, she was kind of head over heels in love with you. She told you she loved you. She said a lot of nice things. She did a lot of nice things for you. And over time, you became more and more complacent. You stopped doing the things that you did in order to keep her in that same type of feeling. And you have to understand, guys, like, women feel what they feel in the present moment. It doesn't carry over to the next week, the next day. Whatever she tells you in that time, it's only for the present moment. And so when a woman tells you that she loves you, take that for what it is in the current moment. It's no different than looking at last week's weather and trying to apply it to this week. It's not going to be the same. And so a lot of guys will try to do something like that and try to apply it and be like, well, she told me last week that she loved me. She has to still love me right now. Not the case. Not the case. So it's only in the present moment. All right, guys? So, like I said, you've done more things wrong than right, which caused her to be more turned off by you. And so the most common mistake, let's talk about the common mistakes. The most common mistake that I see a lot of men do in relationships is that he becomes more relationship focused than she is. He becomes more invested into the relationship than she is. And I'm not saying that you should not care about her. That is not what I'm saying at all. What I am saying is that you're throwing off the sexual polarity. And look, I'm not trying to cause a debate about who loves each other more. I'm just talking about the differences in polarity when it comes to opposing energies. And so by understanding this, polarity in relationship is the opposing energy. So there's a masculine and there's a feminine energy that can lead to attraction, and that leads to balance and leads to passion. A quote from Tony Robbins, he said, "What makes a relationship work is things in common. What makes a relationship passionate are things that are different. Things that are different is different in energies." He's not talking about different things, liking different things. And so when it comes to masculine and feminine energy, usually what happens, especially when guys become less masculine, he acts more like the woman in the relationship, and it turns her off. And when it turns her off, maybe he's complaining too much to her, being, like I said, being too relationship focused, needing to know where he stands with her, right? All of those examples embodies feminine energy. And when there's that imbalance of energy, it causes her to be more masculine to make up for what is lacking, which is his lack of masculine energy. And so if her natural essence is feminine energy and her being in her masculine, what do you think it's going to make her feel if that's not how she normally feels? It's going to cause her to be unstable. It's going to cause her to be a little bit more erratic, a little bit more explosive, and she does not want to be in that place. So, which is why you see a lot of guys when he does something wrong, she gets upset and then he becomes reactive, and it causes her to, quote unquote, and what he would say is she's acting like a bee, right? She's acting like a bitch. And so if you, I mean, you guys could put two and two together as well. So it's like, think about it like this, put two and two together. So when guys are yelling and screaming and acting like a bitch, especially when he's trying to communicate with his girlfriend, or not communicate, but he's just yelling and screaming, he is more feminine. And so how do you become more masculine? How? The number one thing that most women appreciate is emotional self-control. Because if you have emotional self-control as a guy, you're going to be more responsive rather than being too reactive. And being responsive means that you prepared yourself. You're taking a step back. You know what you wanted to say, but you might not want to say because you know that there's some consequences if you were to say certain things that you shouldn't have. And so before you explode, before you get upset, because masculine energy is about being cool, calm, and collected. He's grounded. He's in the center. And so when all this happens and she's being emotionally chaotic, if you will, he gets to sit back and think about his actions. And that is what she sees in him. And she sees strength in him. Women need to feel your strength in order to feel like she could feel safe around you to open up. And so when you hear things like, well, I need to work on myself, or it's not you, it's me, I'm not ready in a relationship, all that sounds, and I'm going to translate it for you, all right? So I need to work on myself is equal in womanese means you need to work on yourself. Whatever you're doing right now, it's very unattractive and it's turning me off. It's turning me off. It's not you, it's me. It's definitely you, okay? It's definitely you. You're messing everything up. And I'm not ready for a relationship. I'm ready for a relationship, just not with you. So those are the direct translations, okay? Because if she's not ready ready to be in a relationship, why was she in a relationship with you? Think about it. And if she was once head over heels in love with you, then why would she ever say things like, it's not you, it's me? Well, I need to work on myself. Like, what is it to work? Like, even if you ask her that question, like, what is it that you need to work on? She's not going to give you a direct answer, and you wouldn't find out anyways. So in other words, all those excuses are those little one-liners that she uses, or she would say, that's her putting you down lightly so that she could walk away without you trying to blow things up. Because, I mean, a lot of women have experienced a lot of guys that don't know how to deal with men, or how men can't deal with their emotions when they were to say things like that. And you have to understand, behind anger is always fear. And so if she were to say certain things to you, maybe she's just confused. Probably not. More than likely it is not. But I would like to understand why you think that, though. I would. If this is assuming that she was your girlfriend and now she is giving you all these excuses. Okay? So, which leads me to my next point. All right? Which is, why did she break up with you out of nowhere? Why did she break up with you out of nowhere? And let's put it like this. based off what my coach says, Coach Corey Wayne, shout out to you. Women, he quoted, women don't dump men they're in love with. They only dump men they lost attractions and feelings for. If she's head over heels in love with you, she is not going to leave you. It doesn't matter where you are at in the world. She's not going to leave you. She must have been approached by the big dogs. Now, if you have to put it in that type of context, saying maybe like these are the big dogs that have a lot of money, right? They have yachts, right? They're 6 feet tall with 6 figures plus 7 figures, and they got a nice car and a nice watch and all that good stuff. Then think about it. Is that really the right person for you? Just think about it like that. And if you're like, no, I still love her, like really think about what you value yourself as a person. Because if she could easily be swayed by the glory of this status, then she becomes more of a liability for you than anything else. Think of it like this in this perspective for men too as well, right? Men who cannot control themselves when he sees a woman of beauty. When he sees a woman of beauty and he cannot contain himself, he's like, oh my God, he gets, what do you call that? Those butterfly effect. He doesn't know what to say, but he's in a relationship. He has a girlfriend at home. He doesn't know exactly how to feel. And let's just say she gives a little bit of attention to him. What happens? He becomes a liability to her. So men who can't control their emotions is a liability for women. Woman who is captivated by this fame, the status, all of this, she becomes a liability for him, because it's going to be way more difficult. Like, so what are you gonna do? Never take her out because you're afraid that some guy that, you know, takes up a wad of cash could easily persuade her into leaving him? That's not the type of woman you want anyways, right? So yeah. But you know, it's very easy to get lost in that. And so what I try to give you guys is I try to tell you, or not tell you, but I give you this advice so that you could properly vet your woman, where she doesn't become this huge liability the moment you take her out. Because you take her out because you love her, you care about her, you want her to have a good time. And so love should come from a place of allowing anyways. Like, allow her to do whatever she wants. Of course, with boundaries, you got to set and enforce healthy boundaries. And if she crosses it, then you already know what's up. All right, so back to what I was saying. Why did she break up with you out of nowhere? And so, like I said before, women don't dump men they're head over heels in love with. They only dump men that they lost attractions and feelings for. And if you acted like a man this whole time, a masculine man, a grounded person, a grounded man, she is not going to want to leave you. All right. So now, if you've communicated that you're doing what you're doing isn't going to change. What's up, Tracy? How's it going? If you communicated that what you're doing is not going to change, for example, if she says something like, well, you never go out with me, or you never take me out to dates anymore. And your response is, well, what do you mean? I just took you out last week, such and such. We went over here for our vacation. We've been out together. You just communicated that you don't understand her. You don't understand women. That nothing is wrong, so nothing is going to change. And everything is going to stay the same. And that is what you communicated to your girlfriend. And when your girlfriend tells you things, it is your job as a man to understand that. But what also a lot of guys do is they get into relationship without thinking about there's certain ways on how to navigate through her emotions too as well. And when I say navigate, I'm not talking about game. I'm just telling you to understand. Men and women communicate differently. And so when she says some things that gets your reaction, your first response should be to take a step back and let me process this. Is this what she means? And a lot is happening. So it requires a lot of multitasking, right? And if you don't know and you become reactive, and then you yell and you scream, you just communicated that you don't understand her. And the more consistently that you do unattractive behaviors, unattractive things, it's going to add up, and sooner or later she's going to want to get rid of you. And so that is why she will use those excuses. It's not you, it's me. I don't think I'm in, I'm not ready to be in a relationship anymore. Like, what do you mean? You were just in a relationship. And so she will give you reasons to not want to be around her. She wants to keep a distance, but also she doesn't want to piss you off, because God knows what men would do when they lose a girl or lose his own girl, right? So those who don't understand, they will argue with her. They will try to use logic and reasoning to prove that he is right. And men need to understand that women, they love to speak in hyperbole, okay? In over exaggeration. So it is our job as a man to make big problems that they have in their head, become smaller problems, smaller till it goes away. Basically, it's non-existent anymore. Because why? We're men. Men like to be efficient, and when things aren't efficient, it kind of bothers us a little bit. And so we always try to fix things. Notice that how when women comes to guys and she's telling you about certain situations, most guys, what they try to do first is, when there's a problem, he tries to fix her problem for her. Oh, you have this thing going on, you should probably do this instead. But what most guys should be doing is take a step back, just pull back a little bit and be like, oh, is that what happened? Okay, what else? Tell me more. And let her explain. The more she talks, more often than not, I'm gonna tell you this, all right, guys? More often than not, the more questions you ask, the more she's gonna talk about it on her own to you. And if you just communicated to her, and you just communicated to her that you're just asking questions, and then she solved her own problem by talking about it, you know how she's gonna feel about you once she goes back home? She's gonna be like, damn, this person that I was talking to really understands me. He really understands me. He didn't try to fix my problems. He just listened. And when he listened, he just fixed the problem. Because why? Because she knows she yapped her way into her own answer. And she figured out her own answer herself. But how you just made her feel, and when she goes home, she's going to take those feelings and how she felt within that conversation she had with you. She's going to take that with her. And so if you communicated that you did all those things right consistently, she's going to feel more things for you. What's up, Sajish? What's going on? I'm doing relationship coaching. So, in today's video, I'm talking about what's really behind her breakup decision. And let's see, where am I at right now? Hold on. Okay. So yeah, guys, they love to use logic and reasoning to try to prove women speaks in hyperbole. Okay, meaning small things to big things. Big things, us as guys, to make it smaller, so that it becomes not a problem anymore. And it's our job to make those problems smaller till it goes away. So if you just communicated that you're not going to change and nothing will change because you don't think anything is wrong, it's going to cause her to feel like she's stuck in that relationship. It doesn't matter where you are at in the world. Woman responds the same way. There are slight differences when it comes to culture. Culturally, there could be some differences, but they all respond the same way. So when just want to throw this little nugget out there. Basically, when guys feel like, oh, I need to go overseas to get a woman because all women in the US, they don't know, like, they trying to look for a traditional woman with traditional values and all this, but yet They couldn't find it here. And so they go overseas, they get her over here. You're gonna, if you still display the same type of features that made her feel unattractive to you, or make her feel unattracted to you, it's going to continue the same way. It's just in a matter of time. So unless you learn, unless you change, nothing else will. Nothing else will. How many of you guys over here know someone that is in a relationship but they're unhappy? And that's assuming that you talk to them, but yet maybe on social media, they're always happy. They're always smiling. Like, those aren't real relationships. A real relationship is being happy between you two. You don't need to share every single moment to the public that you guys are happy. What you should be feeling when you're in private is, damn, I love being around this person. This person makes me feel fucking amazing. So amazing that I don't need to share everything to social media. I don't, because you're content. You're happy with where you're at. And so now, women that feel stuck in a relationship, okay? A lot of women, when they feel stuck in a relationship, and especially a healthy woman, she's not going to put up with all that bullshit that this guy is trying to throw at her, because he's constantly communicating that he doesn't understand her. A healthy woman that understands, that has a good father, that has a good father figure in her life, she's not going to tolerate this bullshit. Why does that feeling fade after time? Justice. Those feelings fade over time because men continually to display more unattractive behavior over time. And so you have to understand, from a perspective of, if you were to do things, let me rephrase that. If you did what you done in the beginning of the relationship, there wouldn't be an end. What ends up happening is, most men, they get too comfortable. They get too complacent in a relationship. And all people feel complacent after a while. But it's our job as men to take audits of how she's feeling that day. How she feeling throughout the week. What's going on. And it's our job to understand, like, look, you're in a relationship. It means that there's responsibilities. And so there's certain things that you have to understand. What I have to understand is, if I don't date and court my woman, eventually another man will. So what does it mean? I have to take her out. If she's a little bit quiet, a little bit more distant, I'm like, what's going on? What's on your mind? What's bothering you? Tell me about it. Why? Because I am that center. I am that masculine core, where if she feels my strength and I'm not reactive over how she's quiet, and I'm like, what's going on? What's bothering you? Tell me about it. She feels my strength. And once she feels my strength, she feels safe and comfortable to open up to me. And so it's a man's job to understand when things like that happen. You just have to learn how to open her up. There's always a way to open her up. Unless you fucked up and you did something, like you cheated on her. That's, and her value is, if you cheat on me, that's it. It's over. Yeah, there's not much that you could repair. But if it's like, oh, maybe you just forgot something, or she told you something more than once and you didn't pay attention, and that happens. It happens even to me. I think women more than men. What do you mean by that? Oh yeah, the feelings, absolutely. When it comes to feelings, women tend to be more nurturing anyways. So they have a lot more feelings. And so as guys, we have to understand, when she has those feelings, that we listen to those. We become the sounding board for her, where she says something, we hear her, and then we we ask her more questions. And the more questions, the more she tells us, the more information we have, the more we ask her questions like, what does it mean when you say this? And how does that make you feel? And you're not sounding like a therapist or anything, but you're her boyfriend. So talk to her like one and be like, yeah, what else? What's going on? Like, what's bothering you? What's on your mind? Come talk to me. And so when she feels safe and comfortable enough and she talked and talked and talked and talked, usually what ends up happening is she's going to be like, oh my God. And when you hear these magical phrases like, oh my God, I feel so much better now. Or you make me feel blah, 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 blah. Then you know you did the right thing. Because you as a man basically understood what needed to be done at that moment. By just listening to her, not try to solve her problems. And if she does want her problem to be solved, ask her. Ask her. Be like, do you want me to give you my opinion about this? Or do you want me to listen? If you're not sure, that is a perfect question, perfectly valid question to ask. Do you want me to listen or do you want me to solve your problems? Because a lot of people, when they're talking, most of them just want to be heard, especially women. And so if you could communicate that by just, when she's talking, you just automatically listen. You're just like, what's going on? Okay, what else? Boom. Problem solved. You communicated that you understood the job. She's gonna be head over heels in love with you. All right. So now, if you, like I said, when a woman breaks up with a man, right? And when you think that she just broke up with you out of nowhere, she probably has been over you for weeks, if not months. Okay. I've heard of stories of women that she's been over this relationship for over a year. The reason why she stayed was because she needed to set everything up so that she could properly leave for a full year. And so that's why as guys, it's very important to self-audit yourself. Be like, did I court her? Did I date her? Did I take her out? Did I make sure when we went out, we had a good time where she did her most of the talking? And when you guys are away from each other, is she still constantly kind of coming to you and asking you certain things? Because you have to understand the difference in polarity. Feminine energy is about bonding. It's about connecting. It's about opening to receive love. It's about relationships, relationship labels. So if your girlfriend isn't doing any of those things, that should be a clear sign to you. Be like, oh shit, she probably doesn't really care that much. And so, like I said, that's why it is very important for guys to need to understand certain things. Like, men and women communicate differently. And if you don't understand it, it's very easy to miss certain things. And so, like, for guys, like, if you don't think anything is your fault, there's no blame to accept, there's nothing to fix. And so you think you're always right. And that's also a sign of low emotional EQ from men. And they probably think they're always right. Anyways, thing is, if you get better, it only makes you better in a relationship. And if you become even better in the relationship, maybe you said something or you did something and she left you, and you continue to work on yourself and improving yourself as a guy that communicates that you understand women, what ends up happening is you're going to attract way more than you could possibly ever imagine. And when you attract more, you have more selection. And when you have more selection, you're less likely to pick the first thing that comes out. And so when you have options and you have this plethora of options for yourself, you're gonna be less needy. You're gonna be more busy. You're gonna be more focused on yourself, because you're like, goddamn, like, think about it like this: finance. If money is not an issue for you, are you gonna worry about the things that you're gonna go out and buy? More likely not. more than likely not. But if if you're living paycheck to paycheck and you're in debt, the only thing on your mind is about money. So think about it in this perspective in a relationship. If your woman is giving you all the love and affection because you are displaying more attractive behaviors as a guy, you're not gonna need to feel like, damn, I need to do all this so that I could get her feelings back up. Because you have to think about, in your perspective as a guy, what am I conveying when I'm doing certain things? And a lot of people don't think about it. They don't think about it until it's too late into the relationship and when a relationship is about to be over. And so, for my last part, I like to talk about love is about consistency. Okay? Love is about consistency. So, if you're in a relationship right now, think about all the things that you've done in the beginning of the relationship, and there wouldn't be an end. So, love is about consistency. People often focus on grand gestures, like what they see in the movies. And so, when they think about all these grand gestures, they're thinking about lots of flowers, bouquets, a lot of people gathering up. Like, all those look nice, especially with emotional music behind it. But in reality, none of that really matters. It's not about those one big moments that you've done. It's about all the sum of the little small things that leads up to the moment where she fell in love with you. It's about it's about consistency, not intensity. All right. And so what men has to understand is that men and women fall in love differently too as well. A woman who focuses on her career can have a tremendous impact on a loving relationship as well. Absolutely. But also, you have to understand that in this society, men also don't really care too much about what status she has or how much money she's making. Now, us as guys, more than likely, most of the time, as long as she could take care of herself, he will be fine. He will be fine. Like, think about it in this perspective, Justice. Do you see a woman walking into a McDonald's and then seeing this guy behind the counter and be like, God damn, I can't wait to make him my king? More than likely, you don't see that. A guy could literally walk up to McDonald's and be like, damn, I got things all figured out already. I can make her my queen. So, in this perspective, women date horizontally and upwards. Men, they could date lower, and meaning lower as in status. So if you understand that market of men really don't care about how much money she makes. She just can't be a bum. Don't be a bum, right? Have something going for yourself. At the very least, have a job, some basics, okay? So that you could put a roof over your head, so that you could go out if you wanted to and not worry and stress about money, okay? And like I said, everyone feels differently about that. But as most men, they don't really care too much about how much money she makes, okay? You just have to make something. Now, talking about that big moment, it's not about the intensity, it's about the consistency, okay? And men and women fall in love differently. And when I say differently, for women, they fall in love a lot slower than men do. A man could look at a woman and be like, damn, she's beautiful, I'm in love. I've heard stories of men telling a woman that he is on a date with that he loves her on the first date. I highly do not suggest that, because it's like, well, she doesn't even feel that way towards you. And so a lot of times it's like, guys, like I said, be more emotionally regulated. Take a step back. Really think about what you're saying, what you say, and how does that What does that message convey? And so, like I said, men, they fall in love a lot faster. Women, they fall in love a lot slower. So we as men need to practice more patience with women, which is why women, if you move slightly slower than she does, you will notice that she becomes slightly more impatient, okay? Because you didn't ask her out, or because you didn't ask her out. And so they become a little bit more aggressive with her approach. She becomes a little bit more aggressive with her approach. She might say things like, well, how come it's always me that comes to you? And then so you could say things like, well, because you love me so much, and you trust me because you love me, and every time you reach out, I always reach back out. I might not always reach back out right away, but I always do. And so when men realize that love is about freedom, and it's freedom to allow her to be who they are and as they are, and you're not trying to change who they are, but maybe sometimes it might feel a little bit low, and you kind of like gently nudge them into that direction and be like, no, you got it, pick yourself back up, or I think this would be good for you. Maybe you should consider that, right? And you never pressure them to stay because you want them to stay. You just allow them to want to come to you because of the person you have become, because of the man that you have become. You're allowing them to come to you. And how you become that man that every woman loves is being consistent and learning to be more than you are every single day. That is how this type of consistency will allow you to have more options and quality options, not just options, but more quality options. And so this is why inner work really shines. It really shines. It's when the person you become comes out effortlessly. It takes a lot of time, okay? It's not something that happens overnight. It's something that takes effort consistently every single day, almost, all right? Almost every single day, to practice to become the person that you want to be. And so, and look, I would even say that you have a quicker, you could change how you feel physically by going to the gym a lot quicker than this type of inner work, because inner work requires time to kind of digest and be like, damn, everything that I was doing was incorrect. And so this took me years to become where I am at now, because I was from a place where I didn't understand women. I was always failing. I would always fail. I've always made mistakes, said the wrong things, and it has caused them to kind of want to go away. And it's because I've done a lot of unattractive behaviors that led up to that, but I was not aware of it. And because I was not aware of it, I consistently did it, and I always got the same results. Basically, it's like, I don't want. And so when I started realizing, I'm like, look, what does it mean? What embodies masculine energy? What does it mean? So masculine energy is about having a purpose, having a drive, having a focus, a mission and a purpose to focus on. My mission and purpose in life is to share this type of information with you guys, so that men all around the world can understand, like, damn, maybe I am messing up. And you don't need all these gimmicks, all these one-liners. And when things don't go your way, I'm gonna give her no contact. It's like, I'm not trying to teach you guys tips and tricks. I'm trying to give you guys this understanding of a philosophy. And this philosophy is about basically embracing who you are, but understanding what you are going to do to become that person. And that takes time. And most people overestimate what they could do in a year, but underestimate what they could do in 10. So if you allowed yourself just even 5 years, where do you think you could be if you constantly worked on yourself, worked on understanding the other person instead of trying to always try to argue with them? And so that's why I was like, look, there's a lot of information out there. You guys could always understand, like, hey, you know what? I don't want to listen to Mitchell right now. I'd rather listen to this. There's a lot of information out there. You have a lot of choices on what you want to choose. I've heard a lot of advice. I've heard a lot of not so great advice, a lot of toxic advice. And so I still listen to some of those toxic advice because I want to see what is out there, what kind of information that these people are giving you guys. An example is a lot of the red pill community. They like to talk a lot of shit about women and how they're this and modern women are like that. But I'm like, look, there's a lot of good people out there. There's a lot of great people out there. There's a lot less good people, though. Okay, there's still a lot, but it's a lot. The number's a lot less. And so when you have that understanding, you know that the first person you meet isn't always going to be the right person for you. And so when you understand that, you have a better understanding of this vetting process. And so, and the more you know, the more you understand yourself. These are the certain things that I want. Where do you think you put yourself when you are, let's just say you go on a date with someone and you say something like, it's a turnoff when I see other people being rude to other people because they're trying to do something nice, or maybe they made a mistake. You're communicating to that person like, look, I don't care how you look. If you're not nice to other people, like to a waiter or waitress or whoever, it doesn't matter who it is. It's like, that's very unattractive, and that's not. And you basically just raise the standard for yourself, and they understand that. And so that is why for yourself, you have to have your own standards. You have to know what you want before getting into a relationship. And then also when you're in that relationship, you have to understand what consistency. There's certain things that you need to do in order to preserve that relationship. And so you never have to worry about her wanting to leave you. Why? Because you're a fucking amazing guy. And so keep practicing, keep learning, keep understanding the other side too as well, and understanding what is masculine and feminine energy. That's going to help curate a lot better in your relationship. So I hope you guys found this video content good for you and that you were able to digest it and understand it a little bit better. And if you guys did like this video, please hit the like, subscribe, share it to your friends. And if you guys want to support me some more, there's a link down below. But I'll catch you guys in the next video next week, every Saturdays at 12 p.m. Pacific time. All right. Take it easy. Have a lovely weekend. I'll catch you next time. Peace.